What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be giving you a tutorial of how to drive the Midget in Iracing, and not only the Midget, but at the Chilli Bowl. So here we go. So when you're first starting out in the Midget, you're not going to be too concerned about the lines, but more about car control and just being able to control the car, make consistent laps. So to be able to do that, the first thing that we're going to do is we're not going to give it too much throttle through the corner, but we're going to start to give it a little bit going down the straightaway. And then just kind of coast it through the corner, give it some throttle, and you're going to ease into the throttle going down the straightaway. And then as you start to get better at that, you can start to drive it in a little bit harder, and you'll start to have to counter steer a little bit. As you can see what I'm doing. Going into the corner, I have to give it a little bit of steer, the opposite direction. And then as you get comfortable with that, you can kind of build your way up. And after you're able to make some consistent laps about like this, just running through the middle, nothing really special, you will be able to try to bring your car closer to the inside berm, because that's always going to be, not always, but when the track, unless it's super slick, that's always going to be the fastest line around here. Left front, right up on the berm, and then just kind of easing into the throttle on corner exit. So now the next step here is we're going to try to get more into lines. So right now the track isn't super slick, but it's not totally hooked up. So the first thing that we're going to do is, after you're able to make some consistent laps at a pretty decent pace, make some consistent lap times, you're going to worry a little bit about lines. So the main line that you have to know how to run here at the Chilli Bowl is right around the inside in the corners. Left front, right on the berm. And this is the most difficult part about being here at the Chilli Bowl, is if you're not right down there and the track is slick, you're really going to struggle to find grip. And being able to do this isn't all about the steering. A lot of it is just working the throttle, having a ton of throttle control. Okay, so if you put everything we just talked about together, you should be able to put some decent laps in. So everything we just talked about, I'm going to do probably about 5 laps here, just putting it all together, showing you guys what some decent laps look like here on the Chilli Bowl. Okay, so those were some pretty solid laps there around the inside. So my left front wasn't completely on top of the white line that you're going to see right through there, but it was right kind of around there. You could see a few times my left front would lift up, and that's where I was on, and that's okay. But if you start to drive it into the corners and you're kind of like, and you're going in and you know you're going to get it like that, just completely let off the gas. It's a common mistake that you can easily recover from, but the worst thing that you can do is you go into it and you just slam the throttle, you pop the car up, front wheels are off the ground, you have no control over where the car's going to go. So that's the worst thing that you can do in that situation. The best thing is just go into the corner, lift off the throttle, wait till the car is set back on the ground, get back on it and go. Okay, so now that we're able to put in some quality laps around the bottom, learning a little bit about where to run, where the track is at, as the track will slicken off as the race goes on, you're going to try to move up to the top, maybe. It's really just kind of seeing what the other guys are doing, trying to keep pace. But on a restart here at the Chilli Bowl, a lot of times everybody's fighting for the bottom, trying to get down to the bottom as quick as you can. So sometimes if you can put it up around the top, carry some speed, going down the straightaway, just make sure they don't get into you with the right rear. But here's what some quality laps look like here on the top. Still have to use a ton of throttle control. Okay, so that's what it looks like trying to run the top. Now another major part about being competitive here is if you're rolling the bottom or even up on the top, a lot of times you're not going to get to full throttle, especially when you're racing around other cars. If the track is kind of slick like it is right now, you're really going to struggle to get to full throttle, but you don't really want to get to full throttle if the track is slick, because then you're just spinning the tires, losing control of the car. Here's what it looks like if I try to go full throttle when rolling the bottom down the straightaways. Car just gets out from under you, slides up towards the wall. But the best way is just kind of feel it out. You can be really competitive just half throttle going down the straightaways, and that's going to be the fastest way around. Even if you're on the top, the car's going to bounce around. You'll need a lot of throttle control. You might be able to get to full throttle down the straightaway just because you'll be right in that little patch by the wall. You'll have a lot of grip. Okay, so the final point or the final line that I'm going to talk about here when trying to be competitive in the midget at the Chilli Bowl is the slider line. So in last year's Tulsa shootout, you could see Christopher Bell running the slider line to protect the position from Kyle Larson. And in a post-race interview, Larson says he was running a line that was super hard to pass. And a lot of times, that line is not only hard to pass, but you can slide up and catch that huge patch of grip on exit, get a really good drive off the corner. So here I'm just going to demonstrate that for a few laps. Give it some throttle through the slick, and then you can really, this is one of the few lines where you can get full throttle down the straightaway on a slick track, just because you're up in that grip. Not keeping it glued to the bottom, like rolling the bottom, like that bottom line that I was talking about earlier, but also not keeping it around the top of the whole corner, like I was talking about earlier. This is kind of just sliding up the racetrack. You're going to be able to carry some speed. This is probably the most forgiving line and the most effective if you're in first and you know the guy behind you's coming, he's a little faster. This line is going to be the most effective to protect him from passing. Okay guys, so that's going to wrap up the video for today. I hope you enjoyed me kind of talking about how to be competitive here at the Chilli Bowl and the Midget, and just kind of the different lines and how to get comfortable, not only at the Chilli Bowl, but in the Midget in general. And that's going to wrap it up for today, so I'll see you guys in the next one.